The learners who are present, any idea? Any few more will join or not?
Ma'am, I don't know how much learners.
I see Dehradun is
Good
saying
afternoon. Good
yes.
afternoon, ma'am. Maybe they are joining. We are 35 students in this
Okay.
class. Maybe they will be joined later.
They'll be joining later because once I begin my PPT, it will be very difficult to admit them. No, PPT will be on the screen. What do we do? Shall we begin?
Yes, ma'am. Begin.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please start.
Okay, okay. Then in that case, I'll begin. I first welcome all the learners from Afghanistan. Very nice to see. See your pictures from Afghanistan, and India has a very good tie with Afghanistan. If you remember, one of Abdul Ghaffar Khan was from Afghanistan, so we always remember him as one of our idol, one of our leaders. So it's a pleasure that you have opted for the MBA course of School of Management Studies, IGNOU Indira Gandhi National Open University. Now, you are since you are placed in Afghanistan, there'll be some matters related to India since it's a business environment. We'll be discussing some of the laws and legal issues related to India. Now, this MBA program, we have 28 courses, out of which 7 courses are opted in every semester. So it is believed that you are opting for the first semester courses, you are as a beginner. So the course that I will be discussing today is MMPC 03, which is Business Environment. Now, before I would be essentially dealing with Unit 1 and 3. But before beginning my discussion on Unit 1 and 3 with the help of PPT, I'm sure you must be acquainted with the term business environment because any business, any society, any organization exists in a particular environment. It's not only the natural environment, but it is the political, legal, the government environment, the cultural, the social. You must be observing that for an organization to uh, grow, it needs a favorable environment. That is why where the government comes into picture when it starts providing various facilities to make the environment favorable for organizations and firms. So this course MMPC business environment, this has 4 blocks and 14 units. So first block is on introduction to business environment. We are essentially discussing with economic growth and development, the political legal environment, ethics and social responsibility. Then the second block is on the overview of Indian economy. And I can tell you students, don't worry about this course. You go read the entire course, at least entire booklet that you have or eGyan coach wherever you access it to eGyan coach. Go through the material 3 times. It is written in a very lucid manner, and you will be able to understand this. So we were discussing that block 2 has overview of Indian economy. Then block 3 has structural reforms. What are the reforms which have taken place over the years since independence? And then we have the international business environment, the balance of payments, foreign trade, and all. So today we are essentially discussing. I shall begin my presentation. We are discussing Unit 1, which is business environment, which is introduction to business and environment. Can you see? Dear learners, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay, thank you. So once you go through this PPT, which I will be discussing, you will know how to approach this entire course. So I am discussing the first unit, which is Introduction to Business and Environment. So what we'll be discussing is what is business environment, what is the nature, scope, and types of business environment, what is the importance of business environment, what are the environmental analysis, basics of macroeconomics, and circular flow of income and expenditure. Now, why do we have to discuss a business environment? Essentially, because it is dynamic in nature. It is not stable. Environment doesn't remain stable. There are so many rules and regulation, code of conduct, which keeps changing from time to time, and that is why there is a correlation between business and environment. Because environment is actually it is framed according to the needs of the business. So for a manager to be well informed, or for him to be a successful manager, he should know about everything about his environment, right? When in an organization, when you enter and the time of the exit, the entire process is within an organization, that is the internal organization. But besides that internal organization or the internal environment, we have the external environment also. So a successful manager will survive or he will fail only as long as he knows what is his environment. Now next is for instance, we take three examples. One is of a marketing manager. Now, if the marketing manager is in a organization, now why he should know the environment? Because suppose he wants to launch a product. Now, all of you, those who are have a household, you must be knowing that a mixer, juicer, mixer, grinder exists in every house. But when a marketing manager is thinking of launching a new product, he would know that the old chutney jar, is no longer has relevance. Instead, it has taken over by food processor, ovens, and new. There has been transformation. So he has to see what is the new catchment area for him. Whether it is the old juicer mixer grinder, or it is the new food processor, which looks into the needs of not only the working population, also of the single population. So he has to accordingly plan his new product. So like similarly, a finance manager, he has to see what is the capital and money market, what is the banking scenario, what is the trading which is taking place. Now, if I keep if I continue with this will be very difficult, because if I start admitting, my PPT will go away. Now, how to so we were discussing this, how a finance manager has to know. Now, if you keep coming like this, students, how will I do my presentation? Please join after this. I'm not entertaining anyone. So already we have spent we have 10 minutes of our session. So we were discussing about then how a personal manager would be influenced. See, I will have to wait for 10 minutes before. Now, what to do if students are coming like this? How would I do my presentation, please? How long will I admit them?
Absolutely continue.
Yes.
Definitely continue. It will be.
Madam, don't worry about that. We have some of area has internet connection problem. They will join and they will leave. Uh, that is the internet connection problem. You can continue. We will, those who have net sustainability, they are listening to you.
Okay. So because I have to stop sharing and then I have to admit them. If you want, I can wait for 5 minutes further. Or other, this will. I have 2 units to discuss today, and already 10 minutes are over. 12 minutes are over. So, so I will continue once again with my presentation.
Yes, ma'am, you can continue. Other student will come later, no problem.
Now the window is not showing. The window is not showing. I have to do it without PPT. So now, how business environment is important, we have discussed. Now, next is the external environment and the internal environment. What is external environment and what is internal environment? External environment is anything which is beyond the control of the organization. For instance, natural calamities you must be knowing, like flood, earthquake and all. Then if there is a war in the vicinity of the country, I mean adjoining country, these are external environments which are beyond the control of the individual, business, enterprise and management. So the rules and regulations laid down by the government, the monetary policies of the central bank, and all this are influenced by the external environment, while the internal environment is anything which is within the organization and influences the strength or weakness of the business. The external environmental factors generally vary from country to country. For example, USA, Russia, UK, Japan, it will vary. And the magnitude and direction of environmental factors differ over regions within a country and over localities within a region. So within India, there are so many states, there are so many different districts, there are very different regions, the western region, the northern region. So environmental factors will vary here. For instance, you must be knowing, like in your country, dry fruits are in much demand and they are cultivated in large proportion. So accordingly, they need some. The environmental condition is such that it favors that kind of production, cultivation. And in India, tea is a very important crop, food cash crop. So the internal environment will be the climate. How is the climate and how is the labor policy with regard to the labor? How is this is being managed? Then, after we have discussed business environment, we will discuss a definition given by Keith Davis. Business environment is the aggregate of all conditions, events, and influences that surround and affect it. It can be so what. So we'll be discussing the features. So far, we have discussed the general environment. So what are the features of the environment? So this is the feature. It is dynamic. It is uncertain, complex, relativity, interrelation. So this is the nature of business environment. Now, dynamic environment, business environment is such as internal and external business organizations are highly flexible and they keep on changing. For instance, when we talk of external environment, if there is a depression, where we say that in the world economy is passing through depression. So that could be an external environment, and we cannot have a depression always. Depression is followed by a boom when the business picks up. So trade cycle has its own role. So this is which keeps changing from time to time. Now uncertainty, nothing can be predicted. Today, if you are predicting something, if there is a natural calamity, if there is some bottlenecks, supply side constraints, if there is some problem in import of goods, so this is uncertainty. Complex is that it is very complex because it is not simple. Why it is not simple? We know that there are so many technological disruptions which are taking place. The global competition, the leadership which is changing from time to time. You can see in the world economy how leadership is changing, shifting regulatory conditions, how WTO from time to time world bodies like WTO and all are dictating the rules and regulations regarding patent and all. Just now you must have heard of COP, Conference of Parties 28, how it is dictating terms with regard to fossil fuels and all. So this is a very complex environment. The external environment which a business faces is complex. Not only external, internal environment is also complex. Then relativity. Relativity that it means that the business environment is associated with societal norms and local conditions and which varies from country to country. Some country would be like your country must be very cold, while India has all type of climate. We have south, we have a very mild winter and summer is a predominant climate. But in north we have this. So relativity also plays a very important role. Then interrelation, all the factors and forces of the business environment are related to each other. Now, scope of business environment. What is the scope of in business environment? Internal environment and external environment, which we have discussed. Internal environment, which is within the which can be controlled and has factors which are within an organization, and external environment is factors which are beyond the control of the environment, business of the organization. Now, microenvironment directly deals at the firm level. It is at the firm level. You must have studied, those who are familiar with economics. We talk of firm and business organization. Firm is a single unit, while when we talk of macro environment, we talk of all the firms in the economy, when we talk of aggregates. So when we are talking of macro environment, we are essentially talking of customers, suppliers, and all. And macro environment, we'll be dealing with the aggregates. Now, controllable and uncontrollable environment, that is the internal factors are also treated as controllable factors, such as men, machine, materials. They are considered as controllable factors, while others are known as uncontrollable factors. For instance, like example, external factors such as corona pandemic and all, these were the uncontrollable factors, how the whole world was affected by corona and how business had seen a downhill during this phase. Now, another thing is specific and general environment. Specific environment refers to external forces that directly influence business enterprises and achievement of organization goals. Some organization, every organization at the beginning of its financial year sets certain targets and goals, and which is followed throughout the year regarding profit, which product to focus. So these are some of the goals which are specific, related to specific environment. And what is general environment? It is the political legal environment, the social cultural environment, the technological environment, and the global conditions that influence organizations. Again, someone has joined. So what will happen to the presentation? So we were discussing specific. It will not be possible to begin. I can't entertain those who are latecomers. I'm sorry. We were discussing the types of business environment, external environment, and internal environment. We have the micro environment and the macro environment. The micro is with regard to customers, competitors, and public. You know that there are a lot of competitors in the market. If there is a single brand which is selling uh, electrical bulbs and all, you will find there are many other companies. For instance, in India, we have Philips, we have Bajaj, we have many other and local competitors also. While the macro environment is essentially, as we have discussed, as the graph shows, the political legal, the technological, the socio-cultural, and the demographic. And what is the internal environment? This is the organization structure. Now, organization sector, whether it is divisional organization structure or whether it is a matrix. So all this will, what is the value system? Some organization will play give a importance to ethos and ethics, or their values and all. And what is, how is the human resources managed? There is it, there's a new culture now, work from home. Are these facilities available? So these are some of the internal environment which affects. Now, internal environment, as we were discussing, now, the corporate culture, we have discussed the value system. Now, mission and objective, some have a very forward looking mission. That is one, if you see, although this cannot be compared with a business, but India has a mission to achieve 5 trillion economy within 5 years, in another by 2025. So, organizations also have their missions. With regard to what they will achieve in future, and it could be diversification of product, it could be related to how to handle provide new resources to its manpower. So these are some of the mission and objectives, and corporate culture plays a very important role as it believes in shared values and beliefs. Now, human resources, very important is to develop its skill, its qualities, its capabilities, how to motivate them. Motivation is a very important factor. What are the competencies? How can there can be upskilling? All these things are with regard to human resources. How internal environment influences human resources. Physical resources and financial capabilities like machinery, plant, and equipment, these are also looked into when we are talking about internal environment. External environment is the micro environment. It has suppliers of inputs, it has customers. You know that when we talk of the value chain, or when we talk of the entire supply chain, when the product begins from raw material to the time it reaches the market, so that entire chain is what we have to see when we are talking about supplier of inputs, and which is the micro environment. Marketing intermediaries also play a very important role, especially in agriculture, where the food crop is sent from the fields to the market. So intermediaries, they grab the larger share, and the farmers, they get a very small share. So government so it has introduced various policies which influences the micro environment. Competitors, we have already discussed. Public also plays a very important role for various organizations, associations, environmental groups, consumer protection groups are there, which form micro environment. Now, what is the macro environment? It is the economic environment, which refers to forces and factors. The political legal environment, you know that we have the three-tier system, that is the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Legislature is elected body, executive is the bureaucracy, and judiciary are the judges. So judiciary at times have to make various rules and regulations to see that it is there is proper coordination between business and environment. Macro environment, technological environment, all of you know that this is the time of what is known as artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence also plays a very important role. Then uh, we have a global or international environment in which we see that global impact, as we were talking about, any uncertainty or any favorable environment impacts the society. Now you see that those of you know of COP28, how fossil fuel is being downsized, and how emissions are being controlled. So all these have a repercussion on the macro environment, the social culture environment, the demographic environment. You know that India is supposed to be very favorable because the demographic dividend is favorable. Large population, almost 60% of the population is belongs to the youth. And so the productivity is on the higher side. The natural environment which influences macro environment, what is the mineral reserves, how many iron, coal, and all, what is the reserve, how water resources, the port facilities, the forest resources. Now, what is the importance of business environment? To enable the organization to identify the business opportunities and achieving first mover. This is the we have to do scanning. Now, what is scanning? Scanning is basically when we are discussing the strength, the weaknesses, and then the opportunities. When we are discussing all this. So when we are talking of importance of business and environment, we are discussing the SWOT analysis. We are seeing how it helps in tapping and assembling resources, how it's helped in adjusting and adapting to rapid changes in planning and policy making. Government make from time to in India we have a lot of schemes for the marginalized section. So we see that that is also there. Then we help in performance improvement. Continuous scanning of business environment can improve the performance of organizations. So environmental analysis, when we are talking about, we are in a business environment, any in business environment, or when we are talking of the macro environment, the aggregate, the economy as a whole, we are looking what are the strengths and weaknesses is the internal analysis, and the external analysis is opportunities and threats. Now, what are the strengths? It reflects the core competencies. For example, we have various now mobile payment platform like phone pay, Paytm, Google Pay. So the strength of such facilities is that it is user friendly. So we see the products which are being offered are user friendly or not. And then environment scanning will do whether the weaknesses, many firms or many, you can see market groups like Reliance, they have grabbed the larger share of the market when it comes to fast moving goods and all. So for vendor, while Subiksha and all, they have been wiped off. So we have to see which firm survives, which mart or which supermarket survives. Then in opportunities, we have to see what are the opportunities in which they can further expand. For example, in technology, AI is artificial intelligence is an area where there is a lot of scope, so that there can be expansion. In threat, we see the vulnerability to something which leads to adverse impact, for example, from competitors. If there are too many competitors, there'll be cutthroat competition and they'll be wiped off immediately. So we believe that there should be a fair competition and not unfair competition. Now, basics of macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is the study of behavior of the economy as a whole, and it examines the overall level of a nation's output, employment, prices, and foreign trade. Now, when we are talking of macroeconomics, what is how is national income measured? That could be one question that comes in your mind. So, net national product at factor cost is known as national income. And what is the difference between gross national product and net national product? Is that net national product arises because some of the allocations of market value do not go into the payments to the factors of production. For instance, factors of production are land, labor, capital, and enterprise. So some of the payments do not they are not allocated, and that is why we have the NNP. Now again, one person has joined. So we will now. So I hope you are listening, students. Hello.
Yeah, we are
Yes.
listening.
Yes, ma'am, you're listening.
Okay, okay. So we have discussed national income. Then the next thing that we will discuss is gross domestic product, which is the value of final goods and services produced within the borders of a country. This is a very interesting. Now, gross domestic product will also measure the income of nationals, foreign nationals within the economy. And when it comes to GNP will study uh, the income of nationals who are outside the country. So this is it. Gross national product will also study the income of foreigners within the country, and it will exclude the income received by nationals from abroad vis-a-vis gross national product. So these are some of the things we already have in your course. And now aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now, GDP at constant prices means GDP is measured at some base year. You know that when we talk of index number, we have a base year. So, there's a base year on the basis of which GDP is being mentioned. Now, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate demand is consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure plus government expenditure, and in bracket is export minus import. Now this aggregate demand and aggregate supply is studied on the basis of two model, three model, and four model. So and so you can see what is the four macroeconomic sector. We have the household sector, we have the firm, we have the government sector, and we have the foreign sector. So these are the four sector which doesn't require explanation. Only thing you know that how you must be thinking, how is household sector contributing to the economy, because household sector is providing land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. And firms, what are they contributing? They are giving rent, wages, interest, and profit to the factors of production. So government sector is the center and the state and the local government, and the foreign sector is export and import. And there are three markets. What are the three markets that we'll be studying? It's the goods market, goods where goods and services are exchanged among the different sectors. What are the factor markets? The factor of production are traded in this market. So this is, they'll be guaranteeing remunerations or payments. And what is the money market? Money market is basically what is known as the demand and supply of money, and how money flows from household sector to the other sectors that we were discussing. And so we say that the circular flow of income and expenditure is the two sector flow, which we shall be discussing with the help of diagram. One is, you can see, it is how factors of production is the bold black arrow which is moving from left to right, how factors of production are moving from household to firms, and how goods and services is moving from firms to household, how consumer expenditure, how households purchase the final products of firms. So consumer expenditure is flowing from households to firms, and how firms are giving rent, wages, rent, and dividends to households. So this is the two sector model. Then we have the three sector model. How does this function? We have the government sector, the firms, and the household. And you can see how savings is moving from household to financial sector, and then it converts into investment to the firm sector. How firm sector is giving taxes and levies to government servants, to government sector, and how government sector is paying wages and salaries. So vicious circle you can see when it comes to the three sector model. And then we have finally the fourth sector model, which is the export and import. So this is the four sector model. We have household, firms, government, and overseas sector, and how transaction is moving from one to the other. So with this, we have concluded the first unit, which is the basic unit of your course. Now we have very little time left, so we are moving to the third unit, which is socio-cultural and political legal environment. Now, after the way I have explained you the first unit, we call chapters as unit. So when we are talking about first chapter, that is how you have to study the remaining chapters also. This will give you an insight how to study the course and how to prepare for your assignments and examination. So let's move to the unit 3, which is the social and cultural and political legal environment. So what is the structure of this chapter? It is the social environment, it is the cultural environment, the political environment, the legal environment, the political legal environment, and the government framework. I'm sure you must be familiar with this, but we have to give certain intellectual inputs also, because it cannot be just a general topic. Now, every economy and organization works in an environmental surrounding, and there are several factors which constitutes the business environment. What are these factors? This is the social, economic, technological, cultural, political, legal, and environmental factors. Now, what is the social environment? You know that you operate in a society, you stay in a society where society, what are the resources of, because in order to business to survive, it has to fulfill the needs of the society. So society is the basic unit. Now, what is the society providing? It is providing the manpower and capital. And social environment is one of the elements of the macro environment of the business. So what is the social environment comprises of? Social institutions, religious beliefs, and social structure of the society. For instance, any product, now you can see the trend is changing in a society. Previously, those who of you have studied sociology, you will see that it was the head of the family was the fulcrum of a family. Now the child has become the fulcrum of the family. He is the decision maker, whether it is with regard to which is known as heliocentric, with regard to any, suppose if a family wants to purchase a passenger car, so the child's decision becomes paramount. So how units of society is changing, so how social institution, relationships, and social structure of the society is changing, this will impact the social environment. Your family, the friends, the co-workers, and the social media. Now all of you know that how we have become techno savvy, and we spend large time on social media, which is through our mobile and laptop. Now, what are the elements of social environment? The elements of social environment: social problems, the prospects, like along with, as we have studied, social values and attitudes, the education and culture. Every government is laying a lot of emphasis on education, the primary education. So what is the government policies with regard to education and culture? And there are so many incentives for the marginalized section, so that they can also be, that every economy is talking of gross enrollment ratio. How many, what percent of the population is enrolled in education? So all this has an impact on the social environment. The attitudes and beliefs, whether the attitude and beliefs is favorable or it is unfavorable, all this will have an impact. The social class, what is the social class? Is there a large inequality between the haves and have-nots? What is the lifestyle? Is the lifestyle very primitive, or is it very modern? Preferences, what is the taste of individuals with regard to so many things? You can see right from the time when we talked of laptop and palm top, and now we have so many more gadgets. What are the preferences? So this also has an of the society with regard to personal taste of individuals. Now, social communities also plays a very important role. Social institutions, there are so many. Every society has its institution which relates to family, marriage, education, culture. Now, elements of social environment. What is the role of government? Like government in India has been providing a lot of facilities to the society, to the social groups. For instance, we have some of the schemes like Ujjwala Yojana, which provides cooking gas to the people. Ayushman Yojana, now that provides health facilities to the. So all this role of government also has a very important role in a social environment. Now, what is the cultural environment? Now, cultural and social environment are overlapping, as they are more or less, you can't say same, but they are similar. Range of human actions which are socially transferable. What are the morals, the customs, the law, the art, beliefs, the knowledge, and habits? Culture, in fact, not what is with regard to your handicraft sector, the handloom sector. So you can see how so many textiles, how primitive textiles are being they are being revived and all. So all this is part of the cultural environment. The knowledge and beliefs which we have discussed, some knowledge and beliefs with regard to art and culture is transmitted from the previous generation to the present generation. Religion also plays a very important role, as one has to be sensitive to the beliefs of each religion. Language in India, there are so many dialects. If you move from in a one state, from within one district, you will find 4 to 5 different dialects. So that also has you. So when a person moves from one state to another state, he is expected to learn part of some of the local language in order to be comfortable in handling his day-to-day life. Ethnicity is also the culture ethnicity. So evaluation of social culture in environment, we can say that business environment plays a very important role and it influences the managerial decision making process. Now, change in fashion trends, you know that now not only the film stars but also the sports stars, especially cricket, which is so familiar, so popular in Afghanistan and India as well. So how fashion trends, how these icons, what they wear, and has such a important impact. How the costumes of cricketers is worn by the entire stadium. So all those things are also has an influence of cultural environment. Social issues are also very paramount. Then population, whether urbanization or rural. If rural now, previously there was a move towards urbanization, but now due to lot of environmental factors, and you know that AQI is increasing in most of the developed cities and all. So now there is a reverse trend to go to the rural areas. So we have to see the culture, the multi diversity, the mixed culture, the political environment is with regard to the legislature. In many countries, the legislature is elected body. In India, we have the elected body, which is the parliament elections and the state elections. We also have elections at the local level. So we have to see how political environment influences business, because those who are at the helm would like to influence the business environment in some way or the other. So whether there is participation of citizen in day-to-day life, in business in a country, so this will influence the business environment. Then the bureaucracy, what is the level of bureaucracy? We have the all India services, the state services. Now, what is the role of corruption? What is the role of bribe? What is the role of freedom of media? Whether media is free or not to uh, report things, and then the role of press, the role of tariff, and other things. We also have to safeguard the environment. We also the political environment, or those who are at the helm of politics, they make legislations with regard to pollution control laws, with regards to social safety laws. Political ideologies are also varying. There are various kind of political ideologies. For instance, it used to be a single party rule. Now we have a multi-party rule, and that also has an influence on the political environment. So civil liberties, from time to time, people can voice the opinion against any governance issue which they think is favorable or unfavorable. The international political relation also impacts the relationship. For instance, any tariff, any any import barrier, any export barrier, tariff barrier can have an impact on the international political relations. For instance, all of you, those who must be reading, I'm giving the same example over and over again. In the climate meeting, that is the Conference of Parties 28, which was held at Dubai, there was a lot of issues between developed and developing countries with regard to phasing out of fossil fuels like coal, while there was less emphasis on oil and gas, which is mostly used by the developed countries. So international political relation also has an impact. The political stability within the country, for an economy to grow, there should be political stability also within the economy. The government policy, whether how government is favoring the political stability or not. Again, I am allowed one person to enter, so that is why it has been disrupted. Once again, now again one person has joined. I don't know why they are. Then we are discussing the legal environment. Legal environment is with regard to rules and regulations, the changes in government policies. For instance, there can be a common law for customs and tradition within a village, within a district. Civil law could be company law, it could be contract law, the civil codes. Then theoretical law also is very important, as India has is a multilingual and multi-religious country. So theoretical law also plays a very important role. Legal environment, property rights are there. For instance, uh, women have also given a lot of property rights as compared to the previous scenario. Intellectual property rights for with regard to patents and all. Labor laws, whether labor laws is favorable, whether amenities are provided like creche for women, for what is it, food. Food facilities provided for the laborers or not. Fiscal and monetary policy. Monetary policy is governed by the bank, RBI. Fiscal policy, which government stipulates with regarding to fiscal deficit and revenue deficit. Competition law. We shall be discussing competition law, how monopolistic restrictive trade practices, which was practiced in 1969, has been replaced by a new competition law, which minimizes what is known as unfair trade practices. Now, the foreign exchange laws, how FEMA, Foreign Exchange Maintenance Act, has now taken replaced FERA, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. So all this has a bearing on the business environment, the political and legal environment, as well as the business organizations are required to operate within the legal framework due to rapid increase in globalization and flexible FDI policies. Several laws are created to protect the interest of domestic traders in India. Now, you know that every economy flourishes on the foreign direct investment. So there has to be certain policies which is congenial to attract more foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. So the political legal environment has to be favorable. How manufacturing, in India we have three sector, as there is a three sector economy. That is the agriculture sector, which is called the primary sector, the manufacturing sector, which is called the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector, which is the services sector. Now, government has seen that tertiarization, we have reached what is known as to its optimum capacity. So now we have to now focus on manufacturing. Now, manufacturing government from time to time has come with many schemes like Make in India, Made in India, Stand Up India. Now, Stand Up India is for the marginalized sections and all. How government has regulated the various criteria for demarcating micro, small, and medium enterprises. So, and how trade industrial policies have changed over time. Business reforms have taken, how many mergers have taken. Banks, many public sector banks have been merged, and in order to improve the efficiency of this bank and to include the sick banks with the productive banks, or with the banks which are which have a profitable return, which are providing profitable return. Infrastructure development is also a very important component of political legal environment. Modernization and development of infrastructure, road, railways, highways, port. Then skill development. India has from time to time taken out various schemes like Skill India movement, which was started in 2015. Then we have a Niti Aayog, which previously we had Planning Commission. Now that was replaced by Niti Aayog, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. These are some of the government framework for promoting business, and how the department and all these they have contributed in the attainment of promotional, regulatory, technical and advisory goals. How department has changed from Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion to Department for Promotion of Industrial and Internal Trade. From time to time, government has been taking a lot of initiatives. Many special economic zones have been developed to encourage export and import. Statutory autonomous bodies have been set up, like for agriculture and processed food products export development authority. How tariff commission India has Tariff Commission India got created by the union of the Tariff Board, Tariff Commission and Bureau of Industrial Costs and Prices. Company law is, there has been a lot of changes in the company law. For instance, the company law, which was 1956, this has been replaced by company law of 2013. Now, all of you must be knowing about the corporate social responsibility, which is a very important component of any organization, any firm, any business. So, in this, there has been a guideline that any company which is earning 5% is 5 crore net profit has to contribute 2% of its average net profit in terms of corporate social responsibility schemes, like for education, for development, for sanitation, for health issues. So company laws have become very stringent. They are Limited Liability Partnership Act, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act, Companies Act also has now initiated the 1% company with rupees 1 lakh, the small company with up to 50 lakhs. The Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956 is a core law which governs the activities of the Indian stock exchanges. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, which governs the capital market, has been formed in 1992, which aims developing the security market and making it transparent and disciplined. Then Foreign Exchange Management Act has been developed. Now Reserve Bank of India carries the responsibility of implementing it by deploying the Foreign Exchange Control Act, and how this is playing a very important role. Then the central government, via its notification 2016, has developed has notified the provision of 6 Industrial Companies Act, and thereby dilating proceedings before Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction. It has now established an insolvency and bankruptcy court, which is very favorable for any firm. You don't need to study them in detail. You only have to study them as a part, how it influences the government environment, the political legal environment. So now the Environment Protection Act, which is also a very important act of Government of India, which came into being in 1986. Now various regulatory acts were imposed. So that for water prevention and control, for air prevention and control, for noise prevention and control, and after that, many now you must be knowing that India has been facing with pollution problems. So there is a graded response action plan. Now government has been taking initiatives to curtail BS3 and BS3 petrol cars and BS4 diesel cars from time to time. So these are some of the stipulations and goals which the government has been covering from time to time to make the environment more favorable, the business environment more favorable. Now with this, we have completed two units, Unit 1 and Unit 2. Do you have any questions? I am sure by my presentation today, you must be knowing how to approach this course, MMPC 2000, MMPC 003 Business Environment. Do you have any questions? Is it clear or not?
Yes, it is clear.
Yes, madam, it's clear. Thank you, madam.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Zakir, did you want to say something?
Thank you, madam, from your presentation. It was a little bit fast. You presented a little bit fast.
Yes,
If you present this topics a little bit slowly, we will be able to understand
Okay.
all the topics.
Actually, I wanted to cover maximum in 1 hour. So yes, I was rushing through. Yeah, definitely in my next lecture, I'll try to be. But now your responsibility is please go to eGyan Kosh and read these two chapters very clearly, very carefully and clearly. So this will help you to understand it. Don't leave it pending for some other day.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
You will be able to understand. I was rushing through. Yes, that was my fault. And actually, we wasted some time in allowing learners to come in. As you said, there was some internet problem. So
Yes, and Afghanistan we have a poor and weak internet, so that's why our participant is connected and disconnected during the presentation.
yeah. Asadullah has raised your hand. Yes.
Thank you, madam, for your time. I just wanted to say that if you share the presentation with us, so it will be better to understand.
Okay. Yes. I will request the regional center to do that. Okay. Yes. Who else?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Who else? Only very few learners, 14 learners have joined, and some have missed because they have joined late. So with this, you will be having a very good knowledge, because business environment, if you sit down and think, what is business environment? Like in our course, we ask, when we give assignment to students, we ask them to visit a company which is near to the place, and visit the company, and then see how a company runs and how business environment influences them. When you read a newspaper also, you see how business environment is influencing the political legal environment, how this is influencing. So this is a very simple, it doesn't require a lot of expertise. You won't have difficulty in understanding once you have listened to today's lecture. Any further questions, please? Or shall we? It was for only 1 hour. Any questions? Regional Center, Dehradun, can I get you? They are not there, it seems. Any questions, please? Okay, students. So I can.
Yeah, ma'am, it is clear.
Yes, Mr. Nazim, what do you want to say?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear, no doubt.
Okay,
We don't
thank
have
you.
any question.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. In that case, I will then we will wind up for today, and we'll meet again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.